but that's new water coming in.
All right, guys. So here we go. We're back live. We couldn't use the hotel Wi-Fi, so we went and got our own.
That's right.
So
we don't play
took
no
a few
games.
more minutes, but we're back with John Sokup, Mike Yoder, Fat Cat. Do it, bro.
Boom. All right, folks, we're back, man. So where we left off was kind of got a little – but we talked about how John, when he won, he ran into the gas station and he ate his Butterfinger on the way home. Had a candy bar with Pops for the ride home. So now we're going to talk with Michael Yoder. Michael Yoder, like I was getting into, is one of the favorites for Wright Patman Lake. He's got experience on Wright Patman. He knows the deal. And just, Michael, give us some history on what you've done on Wright Patman, what we can expect on Wright Patman, and just do some talking. Tell us about yourself. Do what you want, man. Whatever.
Man, first of all, congrats to John. He won the first inaugural deal. I didn't get to speak to him at the event, but,
Because you were mad. I heard. I'm kidding.
Right. I was like, that Sokup guy, I'm tired of hearing his name. I'll talk to him next time, Man, it's so hard to win your local event, changing conditions. There's a lot of stuff going on Wright Patman right now. Jake's over there. He's going to catch them pretty good. I mean, it's tough to win your home event. People put such big emphasis on that, not understanding the changing conditions. Oh, by the way, there's 110 other pros out there fishing. It ain't like your weekend derby where there's 15 anglers or 15 teams, and we can run 25 spots and bring in 23, 24 pounds and look like a hero.
So what kind of pressure does Wright Patman get? Is it like a 20-boat derby kind of a pond or what?
Man, you'll have some individuals at 15. You'll have some derbies at 40 or 50 in the springtime, high school tournaments. High school and college is real big now. So every weekend, every lake in the country in the springtime is just getting pounded, Right. Patman's a good fishery. It's going to put out some big fish. It's going to get tougher and tougher as the week goes because of the pressure. You got 110 good anglers. They're going to get caught.
Right. Where will they get caught? They're going to get caught shallow, like everybody's talking about. Is there an offshore bite? Like what? How do you foresee it being won? Like from the sound of things, you.
Now that me and John are friends,
there we go.
We're all tight now.
Yeah.
See, I'm going to call him tomorrow. How do I catch him offshore, dude? I mean, he whooped everybody. You follow offshore, know. I'm up there.
Can he win offshore here?
I don't know. It's a crazy time. This year is weird. Things happened early. Things happened late. Things are happening in between. It's hard to pattern any lake in the country right now as one deal. Everybody go fish shallow, you're going to win. It's not like that. And the hardest tournament to ever win is a shallow fishing tournament because you can't protect anything. These guys all get shallow. I can't run and jump and gun around,
Well, for the folks at home, a lot of us that are not familiar with Wright Patman, can you help describe someone that's not familiar with Wright Patman? Just explain to them kind of the lake because I'm going to follow up with something too, but just give the folks at home a description of Wright Patman.
Patman's, the Corps of Engineers says 22,000 acres. It's not counting above Highway 8. John was up there today. There's a lot more than 22,000 acres. I think you're about 36, 38,000 when you count every pocket upriver, and it's a big part of the fishery. It's dirtier than it usually is. Jake will attest to that. Normally it's a lot more cleaner water on the lake, and what happened was when that snow, we had 14 inches of snow for a week, and it almost froze over a month and a half ago, Jake. So it got high before, so the greenery, the bushes, the trees, not grass, but the greenery never got to develop no umbrella tops because it was underwater and cold. Right. So the trees weren't budding, they weren't turning green. So now you got a dirty water lake when usually you have a lot more cleaner water.
Because there's no grass in Wright Patman, is it?
They dumped some off the side out of a lawnmower, and I tried to fish it for a while.
I'd be right there beside you.
I mean, like, there's grass.
But, it's – so primarily, are we going to be fishing – so you're talking about shallow. So what I've been hearing from the guys is you got all the bushes. Great, man, great cover over. But they're seeing water up 30 foot back there to where there's no way –
it's because of the water level, and it got so high.
What I'm asking, is that going to affect the shallow bite? Because those fish are going to be up in there where Bobby can't get to.
It's going to affect the shallow water bite. And to that attest, I've caught them out off the drops when it was 24 foot high.
Oh.
So I'm sure Jake, I don't know how long ago, I fished it from 2 foot high to 26 foot high, and I fished it about 4 foot low. But, man, Patman's Patman. You can't play defense. So I'm going to have to pick an area. And there's 100 other good guys. Right. And Jake's over there. And me and Jake will probably cross paths 2 or 3 times a day. So it's hard to just control a tournament on a shallow water deal.
Are we going to see guys stacked on top of each other out here? Is it going to fish small, fish big? Are there any community holes? It doesn't sound like there's – like you said, we're not fishing grass beds. Are we fishing stump fields where you see guys out?
Stumps, drops, pole timber. Pole timber play a part now. There's an Oklahoma guy and a little Texas kid they've been hard and heavy on some pole timber. I ain't going to say no names, but I know them. And they've been on some pole timber.
So we got our first question, guys, coming in. So they're curious. The audience is like, okay, so Mike, you're from here, right? You've been here. You know the lake. But for somebody who's never been here, like, what's it like for a lake, like, unlike other lakes in the country where you can go peck around on the internet and you can find information? How has that changed your approach, John, here with a lake that you're not familiar with and you can't find any information on?
That's a great question because I tried to do research for this place, and how did you make out?
Yeah, it's the first time I've had a little bit of nerves in an event, and I don't know how long. And some of that has a little to do with the pressure of winning the first event, and everybody. But a lot of it has to do with just the unknown. I was going to come down here and pre-practice, didn't have the time to do it. I was going to do that at Eufaula as well. So, you do a lot of Google study. You try to look up whatever you can. There's very few online reports of weights. So you hear a lot of doc talk about how there's a lot of big fish in Patman and it takes a lot of weight to win. But to be honest with you, I kind of feel like we always talk about I'm looking to just try to cash a check in every one of these events. So I'm gonna take a stab in the dark, and Mike will probably, he can jump in and say, but I think that there'll be some pretty good weights, individual days, but to do it 3 days in a row, these big 25-pound weights that you hear about, that is going to be a major challenge unless there's some kind of pile of fish on a dropper offshore that someone's got to themselves. They can sneak off, pop a couple fish, and leave it. That's a needle in the haystack deal that for someone that doesn't know the lake like myself and it's dirty, when you do a lot of graphing, you want to have some clear water when you don't know a fishery. And the other thing is there's not a lot of mapping. Eufaula, I could do all sorts of map study ahead of time. So, I just have no idea how these shallow cover and without grass. So big fish will have a tendency to live shallow here year-round, but it's also got some current coming through it, and then there is some contours that, I saw today, so they will also get offshore. But are they doing it now? Are they crossing each other? Have they spawned yet? Have they not spawned yet? I will tell you, I caught some fish today that had eggs in it. I caught some fish today that had been spawned. So, they're going this direction with each other. And so you don't know, for me, I don't know what those stopping points are. I don't know where the lanes are. So, I'm looking for bites in practice is what I'm getting at. So, I spent a lot of time today shallow just to get bites to make sure that I can catch a limit every day. And once I get that comfort zone, then we can start looking to kind of swing for the fence and try to do something special. But I don't know that I'm going to be able to.
These fish are crazy. You can't pattern them. They have no sense. 0 to 15 is going to be good. Somebody who figures out something different is definitely got a chance to win because everybody knows what to do. Go fish shallow cover. So can a fishery with a lot of muddy water, which marks a lot of areas out, or do you stay in the muddy water where you don't have any company and take your chances?
Right.
Me and John crossed some same areas today. So I agree with what he's talking about.
covered everything. So what's it going to – we're talking about 25 a day. Nobody's going to crack a 75-pound bag, right?
No.
What's going to be what's going to win?
We're either 3 weeks late or we're 3 weeks early, according to the weather in the front. The mid-40 degree every night is killing it. Right. Texas fish don't like one thing, cold weather. Right. They don't care if it's clear. They don't care if it's muddy. They don't care if it's high or low. They don't like cold weather. The cold weather, I looked at the forecast 3 weeks ago. I told Jake, I said, it's not going to show out every day. It's just not. These fish are going to bite one day and not bite the next. Some fish are going. Some fish are coming. Some fish are there. Somebody that has a horrible practice, which, by the way, I had a horrible practice today, so I'm thinking it's going to bull over into the
I hear
tournament,
you.
you know?
Yeah, man. Be positive.
So I couldn't have caught a limit today. I couldn't.
Really?
I'd had 4 to 6 fish today. I was looking at some oddball stuff. You know, you can't get in there with 30 other people and win this event. You just can't. Do you agree?
I mean, you can luck into it, but that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to go into it with.
Can anybody see him out there? Because if we're catching fish with eggs in it, and you're talking about it going, or is anybody going to be looking at them? Okay.
Kind of a loaded question.
Hey, man, I just the folks at home want to know.
Mike might not want to say because he might have something. But I will tell you that I saw clear enough water that if the fish were setting up, that they could. Problem is the lake's either really coming down or really going up. In a couple different parts of the lake, there's different opinion. I mean, so that usually messes with fish when they're spawning. Like to get up shallow enough where you can actually see them.
Right.
I saw 2 fish today.
Okay. All right.
Just 2.
Right. Okay.
Which kind of hurt my feelings. So.
And today's Sunday, and tournament starts Thursday. Final day is Saturday. We get to fish all 3 days. So, just like we did with Eufaula, it was that Eufaula was not the same body of water first day of practice to championship Saturday. It was 2 completely different bodies of water. Now we won't see that hardcore of a transition, but the way it sounds, we're going to see. Is the lake going to be the same Saturday as it is today?
I don't think so.
The way it sounds from the core, we're going to be dropping the level. You're talking about water's coming down into the lake, but it sounds like they're dropping about, we heard today, 0.2 a day is what they're dropping. So if we're at 228.5 now, they're talking about 227, and we're talking about
a huge difference on Patman.
Okay.
It'll make a bigger difference on Patman than it did Eufaula or any other lake in the Arklatex. A foot either way, and you're either gold or you're zero. Like, it could go either way.
Any local pressure? Are we going to be dealing with locals out here? Because Eufaula, I mean, woof,
yeah.
woof.
He had a crazy, crazy.
I don't know if y'all need to go to, first of all, let's talk about this. TNPFL.com is where you need to go Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. That's where all 21 hours of coverage will be held. TNPFL.com is where everything goes. So if you want to see these interviews, if the interview's not there, the link to the interview will be there. TNPFL.com is where you got to go, Bobby. But piggybacking off of that, I totally forgot what I was going to say because I just want to make sure everybody knows where to go at TNPFL.com.
You're talking about the pressure, local pressure.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no scheduled events. It is springtime. Biden gave a lot of money out. Nobody works anymore. Everybody's fishing, man.
True story.
So I saw some knotheads fishing today. I'm like, what are y'all doing? I mean, it's Sunday, Monday, you know. There's people fishing in the Arklatex because it's springtime, all spring.
What kind of so we're in Texas. This is like the home of fishing. Everybody's into fishing, into the outdoors and everything. We're here at the Hampton Inn. We have a huge parking lot, weigh-in trailers out there. Are we going to have what's that?
We're at the Hilton.
Hilton, apologize, Hilton. My bad. We're right here by the emergency. How can we tell? Like where?
So we're at the Hilton Garden and Convention Center. This is where the weigh-in location will be. We're going to pull the anglers up from Wright Patman. We're going to start the weigh-in here at 3:30. 3:30 to about 6 is when the weigh-in happens. Friday, we're having a live concert. We're having vendors. We're having food trucks. Founders Brewing is on board. Founders will be here with a booth. They're providing beverages. There will be alcohol sales through the Texarkana Convention Center or the Hilton Garden Convention Center. It's going to be a great venue, so I hope everybody here in the local area comes out and watch these guys weigh in.
Yeah.
Mike, you made a comment on your video back when we were here a few weeks ago, right? You said, hey, I expect there to be 1 to 3 9-pounders weighed in this tournament.
I would still take that, yes.
Okay.
I don't think the big fish, the big stringers will be as consistent as it would have been. You know, you guys plan an awesome schedule. It's a matter of Mother Nature and the things out of your control every year at every lake. But there's going to be, I would say, 3 fish over 9 pounds in 3 days, at least 2.
So you're making us really happy. Like, we're excited, right? We were talking to the conservation, the Corps of Engineers, Dalton, down at the ramp today, and, you know, we were like, you know, we're foaming at the mouth. Talk about that, though. So when you say inconsistent weight, so a guy has 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 pounds on day one.
Could bust 20 plus the next day and be right back in it.
So a guy that goes out and just puts his head down like, hey, man, I'm not on, you know, just bam, 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 I'm going to flip 1,000 bushes. He may run into 20,
22, 23, 24, 25 one day.
So a lot of movement on the
Yes.
leaderboard is where I'm going.
Yeah.
Like, and that makes, look, it's great for us in production. makes your nights pretty sleepless and a lot of head scratching going on, right?
Like it, you follow, I totally missed the boat, okay? Wrong area doing the wrong thing. And once I had 6 the first day, I thought, man, if I get 9 or 10 the second day, I'm doing real great, right?
Right.
If I had single digits in this event, I'd be just as amped up to get up the next morning because maybe they didn't fire today, but them big fish, they're going to fire tomorrow.
That's what I love about NPFL is that full field all 3 days. That guy that's sitting in 80th going into day 3 can go out there and smash a 9-pounder and get 4 dinks and come in and move up, you know, however 300 spots to 36 or whatever it is.
I know of 2 legit fishermen.
Good for you, man. Just 2?
Just 2.
I'm one of them.
Well, you and John, that knocks it out right there. But that fish today that both had a 9+ on, and it wasn't me.
Well, I'm
Right.
sure they did. That's what I say. I've never lost a fish under 10 pounds.
Well,
fact.
yeah,
Never
but-
lost a fish under 10 pounds. But I know what you're saying.
You know,
those are guys. They're here.
If he goes, hey man, I had one come up through my bug and it was a freaking giant. Like if it wasn't 9, it was 11. He's legit. He's not telling stories.
Well, we saw what he did, held it high and everything. When you win that trophy, what are you doing?
On my shoulder, my elbow's giving me fits. I'm going to hold half and let my hot wife hold the other half, see? Get her in on the deal, see there?
I like your style.
I mean, you know.
I like your style. Now, what are you going to do, though? Talk. I mean, that's
I have a totally
local boy, local tournament, all the eyeballs on Yoder.
So everybody's turned this into a me and Jake kind of deal, right? And it's kind of friendly to some point. But me and Jake didn't sign up on the NPFL to, quote, beat each other,
Right
you know? I think he's got just as good chance as I do. Man, fishing's fishing. I won Coast Everstart at Falcon. I had the flu. I had the sinus infection. I missed 2 days of practice laid up in a hotel room, and the doctor gave me 2 shots. And true story, I'm signing up at the tournament. And the more of the story is you never win the ones you think you're going to win.
Okay.
The hometown favorite, I might win Winnebago. I mean, I'm going to fish hard at all of them. But
I like that logic, man.
At that
I really
one
do.
event at Falcon, I'd been sick. I missed a day and a half of practice. And a guy is talking about doing a show with Zona down there and burned his fish. They're talking about 45, 50-pound bags. I almost don't sign up for the Ranger Cup. It was an extra $100. I'm like, what am I doing? I already got $3 or $4 grand invested. This is crazy. Another $100. These guys are catching 50-pound bags, and I'm catching 25.
Right.
I paid the 100, won a boat, with the flu and a sinus infection. So to bring it home,
I'll
the
be
moral of the
licking
story,
toilet seats. I'd be eating everybody's burger. I'd be trying to get sick every tournament if I was you.
yeah, I'm going to try my best at Patman. At the end of the day, win, lose, or draw, I have an awesome family, awesome wife, awesome daughter, awesome friends. I'm fishing a great league with awesome people, good owners. Everybody tries their best. I'm going to go home and know that I did all I could do. And that was it.
Right. What are you doing tomorrow for practice? You want to go out there and keep graphing looking deep? Because you said you went shallow to see if you could catch them and everything. What are you doing?
I mean, I went, you know, I looked two different ends today. You know, I had pretty bad practice up till 1 o'clock. It was looking pretty bad. Made a change, and then it got easy for a while to get bit. You know, so I don't know what size they were or anything like that. I wasn't playing that game. I set the hook on a couple of them to see if they had eggs in them or not.
Mm-hmm. What are you biting your lip for?
So I know where the easy bites are.
Oh, here we go.
And a lot of people got a lot of bites. I tried to get the really hard bites today with no company, nowhere. Nobody's ever going to find me in the middle of nowhere. If I die, it'll take a week to find me. And I'm like, this ain't going well. I might be down there beside John going, hey, man, shake one off for me, you know?
If the fish are there, right?
They're where they want to be for that week. You know, everybody says, you see an event and go, man, we never won no tournament there. They were there for that week, and they may never be back, but they were there for that week, and that's what matters.
Right
in
on.
the moment, now, what's going on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, the only 3 days that matter on Patman.
Right on. Are you those 3 days, are you going to be – it sounds like you're in a crazy spot, but are you going to be running a gun and bebopping and flip-flopping, hole jumping, or you got a certain area you're going to stick to it, or are you still trying to figure that out because it's only day one of practice?
So here's my theory. We've all grown up fishing. We've watched a lot of pros, elite tour guys, and you've seen a lot of people bomb hitting 80 spots a day. I might lose this event. I'm going to lose it with my hook in the water.
Okay.
Not behind the gas.
Right on. Because you have your confidence here. You got your experience here. How long have you been fishing, Wright Patman?
10 years.
8 or 10 or
8 to
18?
10. 8
okay.
to 10.
All right.
8 to 10.
Get that. I didn't you. Hold on down there. I didn't you.
You know.
And you've been fishing this about 8-10 hours, so you're still trying to figure out what you're going to do.
Hey,
You don't.
and you got more bites than I did today.
Yeah.
So there you go.
It's a champ, bro.
I'm looking for 3 limits right now. That's all I want is 3 limits. And so tomorrow in the morning, I'm going to go duplicate the easy fish, the different part of the lake, to see if I can put myself around where I feel comfortable that I can go catch a limit every day. And then once I got that confidence level, then hopefully I can spare enough time to go do kind of what Mike's doing, but with the unknown that I don't know,
right?
And try to go find a little bit of a needle in a haystack. So.
And with the information I'm gathering, it seems like it's going to be a power fishing deal. It's going to be, like you say, a swim jig. It could be a spinner bait deal. Not a whole lot of finessing, it sounds like. Might be some
guy that mixes in, I'm just going to say this, a little bit of finesse or a Carolina rig, and I'm not saying a Carolina rig in 15, 18 foot of water. It might be a Carolina rig in 4 to 6 or 8 or 10 foot of water.
That's a Texas thing.
Somebody that mixes in a little something different has a great chance to walk away with a top 5.
Right on.
I did different today. I didn't like it, but I hadn't given up on it yet either.
What'd you do different? It's
Fished
just us.
A lot of crazy, nasty, stupid looking
helicopter
water.
lure. You throwing a helicopter lure out there?
Banjo minnow.
Well, you have to throw a 2-ounce weight on your Carolina rig, and a buzz bait's critical. You got to have the clacker on the buzz bait. It's critical.
I like your style.
Makes a big difference.
I like your style. We got 2. All right. Is there anybody else we need to be looking at? Like, so we talk about you and Jake.
Yeah. Jake catches them at Patman. John's an okay fisherman. You watch you follow. I mean, you know, he might get lucky, you know. I think there's 100 people. You know, my friends are all calling me. They all hype this deal up so bad. And I'm like, hey, guys, I'm not fishing the weekend deal. This here's real professionals that, by the way, they travel. They spend some time on the water. Gas money's no option. They may run 3 tanks a day, but they're going to find them.
Right.
So it's going to be tough. It's going to be a grind.
Right.
But
something just popped in my head. We got 1 minute left.
Yes, sir.
You have a message for people at home. I don't know if you want to say anything or not. You kind of got the things on check at the fort, but you around the shop and everything. You want to tell the guys?
So guys, me and my partner Taylor and Ladd, we own Jones Trolling Motor and Electronics. We're local. We're right across the street from Cooper Tire off the loop. We are going to be open every day this week, and we're going to be late. When I say late, we usually close at 5. We have only seen 5 about twice this year. Normally it's 6:30 to 8:30 when we leave. The shop. $3474. To all my fishing friends and family, if you can call them with problems and not call me, it would be highly appreciated. I'm going to be practicing daylight to dark from time in, time out.
Yeah.
Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday's an off day, and then of course the tournament's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and we can't be on our phones during tournament hours. So just please address all the fishing, electronic, trolling motor, boating questions to the guys at the trolling motor shop.
Yeah, and that also goes for anglers that are fishing NPFL. Kind of give them some space, because I know we had you were, which is a great thing, always willing to help and everything, but these are our two trolling motor gurus, and it's.
To just
give them some space.
Yeah, to follow back on something.
Yeah.
We're an authorized warranty center for Minn Kota, Lowrance, Garmin, all the trolling motors.
Nice.
All the electronics. We have a ton of stock and parts, and I know guys here aren't going to come. What it is to get stock right now, but I bet we got $30,000 worth of trolling motor parts over there.
All right, give me a win and weight. 3-day total win and weight.
Winning weight for 3 days.
Looking at Chauncey. Hurry up. Come on, give it to me.
59 to 60 and a half.
What you got, John?
51.
Oh, that hurts my heart.
Hey, I think I may be 3 pounds high because I have good expectations.
Yeah.
He's definitely low though.
All right, guys. Thank you, John. Thank you, Mike.
Yes.
We're going to bring our next two anglers in, take a quick break here. We're going to stay live. We're not going to break the feed, but you guys are free to go. Thank you so much for taking your first night out of practice.
Appreciate you, brother.
We appreciate you.
Thanks, John.
We'll get Jake and James in here.
Come on.
I'm good with it.
All right, folks, while they're coming in, remember TNPFL.com, the National Professional League, National Professional Fishing League.com is where you want to go to for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. 21 hours of live coverage by Luke Duncan, David Dully, and yours truly, Fat Cat Newton.
Go on YouTube, go to the TNPFL channel on YouTube, and you can live stream it from YouTube. Do that sling thing to the TV. You can watch it on your big screen, all that stuff.
Awesome.
It'll
Good
all
news.
be broadcast live on YouTube as well. So we will also be archiving. So if you missed some stuff, you want to go back and look at it, as soon as we kill the feed, you'll have that immediately available to go back and view. So
You heard it.
all right,
Awesome.
guys, welcome back. Fat Cat's still in the seat.
Yeah, man,
Didn't
we're
go
still
anywhere.
rocking and roll. We got Jake Chauncey, James Biggs, one of the local guys. Everybody's been talking about him and Yoder, the two names we've been hearing a lot. Familiar with Wright Patman, have experience on Wright Patman. Another Texas stick, not very much or any experience on Wright Patman, but very well accomplished Texas angler, James Biggs. We'll start off to the local guy. Yoder was just up here, just burning the spot up. Is he on the right track? Chauncey's over there, and Chauncey this and Chauncey that. He was more worried about you than anything.
Yeah, I think he's on the right track.
Yeah.
I do. As far as winning weight, for sure, I think he's on the right track. I know 3 weeks ago or so, whenever you guys was here, I think I said something like 60 to 66 if all the stars aligned. I think it's still going to be close to that. I feel like it's probably going to be somewhere around 60 to 65, maybe not that 66, but we're in Texas and anything can happen.
I'm trying to see 75, like Bobby Green Jeans was talking about. The daggone Dogboy Dalton was like, man, y'all catch 25 pounds a day. It'd be somewhere 75 pounds.
I know everybody keeps saying that, the lake it's going to get tougher as the week goes, and I agree with that to an extent. But I do feel like even though they're pulling water, it's going to start slowing down a little bit. Right. And as it slows down, as the week's going by, if it don't just keep falling out on us and it stabilizes, I think it could really get a lot better.
Well, give us some background on yourself, and then we'll go to James. But give us a little bit about who Chauncey is, where Chauncey's from, and just tell us about what you've done, man. Let the folks that don't get to know you a little bit.
Yeah, appreciate it. I'm from Ashdown, Arkansas originally. I live here in Texarkana, Texas now. I'm married to my beautiful wife, Jessica. I have 5 children.
5? Good
yeah,
job.
Yeah,
Have mercy, boy.
Yeah, we've got them, from 18 all the way down to 3.
Heck yeah, good for you.
So they keep us busy and on our toes. So Mama expects me to do good in these tournaments.
That's right, yeah.
But I've been living in Texarkana since somewhere around 2012. I've really started fishing Patman a lot more over the last 5 or 6 years than whenever I first moved here. And, man, I'm so excited for this tournament. I can't wait for it to get going.
So have you cracked them good on Wright Patman? You got any W's under your belt or what? What's the story, man?
Yeah, man, I love the lake, man. It fishes like one of the only true real reservoirs around here compared to some of the other stuff that's
What's a true
local to
reservoir?
here.
Give the folks and me a kind of definition.
Well, for the guys that are watching this that are, from the Texarkana area, we have a couple of lakes that get hammered a lot. You got Millwood and you got Patman. And, Millwood, it's a world of its own. It doesn't fish like a true reservoir, tons and tons of dead water. And, Patman, to an extent, has a lot of dead water, but with the lake being up, there's going to be a lot more water that's available to fish than what it would be normally.
Okay. Do you think people will get caught up? Will they find water like today, tomorrow, that they won't be able to fish come Thursday, Friday, Saturday? Do you think that's a possibility?
I do think it's a possibility. One of the things I keep telling myself is, even if I feel like I've found fish, be thinking about as I'm there, where could they go depending on what's going to happen.
Right. Okay.
I need to ask him a question.
Go ahead, James.
Do you think, I know the pressure is going to slow them down some, but do you think if they keep dropping, it's going to pull those fish that we can't access now to that outer edge?
Yeah, I do. I really
Why can't
do.
you access? You're talking about
the brush is so thick. There's 100 feet of wood there. You can't get to them. Right. But if it pulls out, then they ought to filter out. So you may, even though it's getting beat up, you may get fresh fish coming.
Right on.
And you're seeing a lot of these fish that are still, with eggs because the lake's been unstable. It's been up and down, and these fish don't want to spawn and drop their eggs with the lake falling. They like to spawn shallow, and they don't want to drop their eggs, and then they be on dirt in a day or two. So.
Gotcha. That makes sense. James Biggs. Oh, tell us a little bit about you and your fishing career because you've been around a little bit.
Give
us some background on you.
I was fortunate enough to start bass club fishing in the Federation as soon as I turned 16.
Did you start out in the electric motor only, or did you start out in a gas motor club, or what was it?
It was gas
I was
motor,
electric. Okay.
But I was the co-angler, and that was back in the day
Right on, bro.
when I'm gonna date myself a little here. When the co-anglers fished against the boaters.
Oh, okay.
There was no co-angler, there was no high school fishing. It was
right.
So, it was pretty cutthroat when you're in the back of the boat. And especially
you got any cool stories about that?
Got to do that for years and, fish all the DFW lakes, Eagle Mountain, Lake Worth, Louisville. And as time went on, fished the Opens and ended up winning the TBF National Championship. So
that's
got
awesome.
to fish Forest Wood Cup.
What year was that?
In 2011.
Okay.
And they actually said this. Now, I won in 14, but in 11, they had it, or they talked about it on the TV show, on FLW show. I missed cold like a dummy and threw back the winning fish.
Oh, man.
I mean, it was a long drive home. Let's just put it that way. And in 14, I was fortunate enough to come back. And
how about that?
Yeah. So, I mean, I wanted to win so bad after doing that. You
have
have no idea.
That vindication just like, yeah.
And so got to do that. Then got to fish the tour for a few years and made the cup again through the points and AOY on tour and won about $250,000 in a couple of years on FLW. And I'm a full-time fireman, so it was trying to juggle life.
Appreciate you.
And ended up taking some time off, and last year kind of got back going again.
That's awesome, man. Well, you've experienced on the tour and everything, not trying to compare apples to oranges or anything, but, like, what's your take on NPFL, man? It's our second event. Like, what's after the first event?
Well,
and you've been around.
First things first, I'll say, like, people are, what's the difference? One of the biggest things is the ownership group loves the anglers. Like, I mean, they want this thing to succeed. I mean, they got a lot invested too. They want to see it succeed, and you can tell they genuinely care. So that was a big deal to me. I love the 3 days of fishing with no cut.
Yeah.
Because especially when you're traveling around, sometimes you have a bad day one, and it starts to click on day two, and then you're done. Right. And this way here, you still have a chance to claw your way back up and get a check. Especially
with like a big fish factory like Wright Patman is.
Absolutely. And almost all these fisheries that we're fishing, you can claw your way back up, And that was one of the things I really liked. But probably the thing I love the most is whoever wins Angler of the Year is going to be a well-rounded angler, more so well-rounded than some of the other circuits because we don't chase the spawn.
Gotcha.
You're going to have
I hear that a lot from you guys.
Yeah.
That
because
the schedule's not.
It seemed like you would start in Florida chasing the spawn, you'd move to Texas chase the spawn, and then it would be like summer, June, and then you go up north and chase a spawn.
Right. Yep.
And it was just nonstop, and it's nice to have some diversity. Go to Grand in the fall.
Right on.
You know, get to do some different things.
And I hear a lot about even going to Harris Chain in June.
Summer, yeah.
Yeah, people are like, well, you guys should be fine there because there won't be any other tournaments going on. We'll be the only tournament is what I'm hearing a lot of.
Yeah.
And then talking to, like, the Keith Carson, Florida boy, he was like, dude, we're going to have a really good tournament that time of year. So,
Yeah.
interested in seeing that. But what kind of experience on Wright Patman do you have today?
This is my second day.
Okay.
I drove up here pre-practice. The lake was super high, and I didn't love it. I don't like to fish shallow. I like to fish suspended fish and offshore.
Okay.
That's my bread and butter. It's what I love. And I saw the lake was super high when I came here. I'm like, oh, I'm sure it'll be down when I come back in a month or whenever. So I was like, I literally put the boat in, ran around half a day. I was like, I'm going home. And then I got here and it's just as high as it was a month ago. So maybe I should have spent a little time looking around.
So what'd you do today? Are you graphing? Are you shouting?
No.
Okay.
With this dingy water, flooded, dropping, I mean, it looks like a choo-choo train. We're all flipping. I mean,
Gotcha.
or fishing some sort of shallow brush you can see.
Gotcha.
I mean, at least that's the only, I mean, I got some bites today, but I think everybody got some bites today.
So I remember at Eufaula, I was catching you. You were out. Every time I saw you, you were out in the middle.
Yeah.
Are you going to like talking to Sukup? He's found like water that's clear enough. Are you trying to find stuff offshore? Or are you just going to stay?
No,
stay
I'm going to
tight?
go with
Okay.
what I think the majority of the fish in the lake are doing.
Gotcha.
You know, Eufaula was interesting because the first two, like that was a rare spring tournament. We got to fish post-spawn fish offshore that early in the year.
Right.
And my deal there was the first 2 days I caught them out deep and ran out of fish. And about noon, I actually watched the final day at home after the tournament, you know, and I went from 25th to 50th in the standings on that final day because I wasn't catching any. Right. And I ended up running 50 miles north and caught them dirt shallow that final day and scratched out, you know, 23rd place. But
Right.
but it
Got
was
that check.
totally switching gears, and you know, sometimes you have to be able to call an audible.
You got to be versatile, right?
Yeah.
I want to ask you, because you're the local guy, Chauncey. What are the local weights been on Wright Patman? You've been keeping track? I'm sure you have.
Yeah. You know, I've kept up with it on Facebook and stuff, and you know, honestly, over the last 2-3 weeks, they've been down a lot.
Really?
But a lot of that had to do with the stability of the lake and the level. You know, it was at this, even though it was high, it was at a funky level that was high where, you know, it was hard to get back to where the fish were. It wasn't low enough to pull the fish out, kind of like what James was talking about. So it just made it tough. And, you know, we're getting back down to that level where the fish are easier to get to right now. And, you know, if it had been up, you know, another, you know, in that 233 to 234 range, like what some of the guys saw when they come up in pre-practice, it can get stupid tough for people who've not been here and really.
Yeah, I heard it was a little sketch for some guys.
I mean, it can get really, really hard and in a hurry if you haven't put in a lot of time at that level.
And then what I also heard, too, if you come here when it is high and then come back when it's low, you'll get your feelings hurt out there because you're going to think you can run where you ran last time, and someone's going to tell you, no, you're not.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. What have been some of the weights?
You know, I believe it was last week they had a high school tournament there, and I can't remember the exact weight that won it. I want to say it was around 15. I know the third place team. Shout out to Chase and Drew Raffaelli, and I know those guys, Jody Raffaelli. They kind of kept me in the loop on some of the weights that the high school Bassmaster clubs was weighing in those tournaments, and I want to say they got third with like 14 pounds, something like that. But you know, it's going to get better as
What are you throwing? So, are you pitching? You throwing a swim jig? You throwing a swim bait? What are you playing with out there in that shallow stuff? Just pitching the daggone sweet beaver?
No, you know, I got to thank Turkla. I got some bandito bugs last night from them and that dinner, and they're eating it. They're
the
eating
bandito bug is legit. Like, especially when you realize who it's made from and everything else. Like, they are made to work. They're made to catch fish, and there's not a whole lot – to me, in a bait that is a total package, because I love a good ring bait. I love that when a fish can grab it, and it has the rings or whatever you want to call it, and then it's got the legs on it. Like that bait, it's got everything. So I'd be throwing that too. I mean, Turkle would hook me up.
But
Jeez,
they'll
I should
eat
be
a swim
getting fish
jig. They'll eat a spinner bait. They'll eat a frog. I mean, got bites on. If you get in front of one, it doesn't seem to matter.
Gotcha.
Yeah, no, I'd second that. I think if you put it in front of them, they're chomping right now. At least they were.
We're not
today.
worried about. We just want them to be able to see it. Nothing matters. Just reaction bites is what we're getting right now.
Yeah, I mean they were today, and everybody, from Doc Talk, everybody was getting good bites today.
So interesting.
No, not everybody.
Interesting point. Yeah. So interesting point here, guys. So we talk a lot about fishing clean, right? Like, how important is it here? Because it sounds like not a pattern. Like we know what's going on. It's not this big mystery. Like, hey, you offshore, like you follow. This is more execution. It sounds like, to some guys watching at home. How important is it going to be to get the fish in the boat? Because we're close combat, right? You're going to lose some fish doing what you guys are talking about doing. Is it going to be a difference in the guys like, man, I lost 3 8-pounder? You know what I mean? Like, or the guy who's like, hey, it broke free and swam to the boat. You know what I mean? How important is having the equipment and the know-how to get those fish out of those areas and into your boat? Execution.
Yeah, it's super important, and it is in any tournament. Whenever you're not even fishing in the brush and stuff like we are in this event, it's going to be important. But whenever you add to it, like you said, the combat style fishing that we're doing in the brush and getting in the thick stuff, it's definitely going to play a factor because make no bones about it, people are going to lose some good fish. It's just the nature of the beast when you're fishing and that kind of stuff. And those guys that can, capitalize when they get those good bites and get them in the boat, it will be a difference maker for sure.
And these are above average fish, too. They're not little ones. Like, this lake's got big ones in it. And so, yes, you're going to hear some sad stories of losing them. And if you look at any professional tournaments, like every pound, the weights these guys are so good. Everybody catches them. The weights are so tight. Normally, every pound in the standings overall is about 10 places. So you lose a 5 and put a 2 in the box, you're 30 places at the end of the tournament lower than where you've
And then your gears, man, now you're spinning out in your head, all that's going into play. And then talking about here we are, guys going to be fishing shallow, and you're going to have some guys that are outside of their comfort zone that might be fishing shallow. So landing that 6-pounder with that heavy flipping stick when your nerves are shook and everything compared to landing a 3 or a 4 with something that has all that flex in it and a spinning rod like that could – nerves will play into the landing that fish, like you said, with your equipment and everything else. I think nerves will play into it, too, when Bobby gets a daggone 7 or 8-pounder on. And I want to get out there.
I agree with you.
So great for production, rough on nerves, right?
Yeah.
I will take the flipping stick over the spinning rod in the middle of the lake.
Okay, cool. You're my kind of guy then.
So we'll talk about nerves. It's more nerve-wracking on the spinning rod.
You think so? Well, it depends on the size of it. Yeah, I guess. I was comparing the 7 to a 4, but if you had a 7 on a spinning rod, 7 on flipping, then I'm with you.
Yeah, I mean, either way. I mean,
I don't think guys with spinning rods catch 7-pounders. I don't think they're allowed to. Like something about how.
You get a 7-pounder on, you're going to be nervous regardless.
Yeah, that's a fact.
I just question this kind of a selfish question for myself, but you have a lot of spinning gear, I assume. Mm-hmm. Do you back it all with braid? Are you a straight fluoro guy? Like, what's your theory on the backing and all that?
I use mono with braid on top of it and a fluoro leader. So the mono grips the spool, and I use big game 10-pound test as backing on all my reels, so I don't have to put as much fluoro on them.
Yep.
Save some money there. And I use 10-pound braid on top of it, and then I use a fluoro leader. And the mono will just grip the spool real well. If you go straight braid to the spool, sometimes
she'll spin. Yeah, I always tape mine down. You do mono braid fluoro as well?
I typically just do the braid, but that's a good tip. I might have to put that in my repertoire.
That is a good repertoire. Look at you in the fancy words.
Yeah. Big word. I feel like you're disrespecting me.
So, and when you do your leader, are you an Alberta knot or the
Alberta knot? And depending which, if I'm pitching with it, I'm only using about a 5-foot leader, and if I'm making a long cast, I use like a 20-foot leader.
Okay.
Which is a lot longer than most people. But think about where you're going to put
for yourself.
Where you're going to put the most pressure on it's when you get a fish close. So when they make a hard run at the boat, the knot's in the reel with a 20-foot leader, and you can retie a few times during the day, and now you're at 17 foot, and it's no big deal. You don't have to sit in the middle of the lake and retie.
I like it. Are you Alberta as well?
I'm going to put that in my repertoire also. That's a
So
good,
you don't do a 20-foot leader?
I don't. I usually do something around 8 foot. Like most people do. But hey, that's
Well,
And
if you're pitching it
Yeah.
around docks and stuff, I use the shorter leader because the knot's out of the reel. You don't want it to if the too long, it'll catch.
it's one thing to take that info from Bobby, Joe Schmo, but when you have somebody that's accomplished like Biggs, you're like, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm going to put that in my repertoire as well. I do like that. Top water. Here.
It's going to be a player.
Yeah?
It's
Talk
gonna,
to me.
It's going to be a player for sure.
Is it a frog lake? Is it a buzzbait lake? Is it a Rico?
It's both frog and buzz. You're going to see people catching them on both. Today, I really didn't have any bites on top, but I
So I've heard about this. Like at one time, and I'm not sure where on the lake it was, but we had pads at one time. It got high, washed. Don't have pads anymore. Is there a particular part on the lake that the frog biting is best, or like frog fishing is better? Or?
Not really.
We're looking to find those bushes with 100 foot of water up in there, and just
There's really not, there's no particular place that I know of anyways. Like you said, there's no grass, there's no pads. If you're lucky enough to find some duckweed, definitely. But, with the water not being super high, it's hard to find.
Okay.
So, I think a lot of the guys are going to find that, they're going to catch fish on frogs and, just around brush. And I'm sure a lot of people were doing that today. So, it's just going to be one of those things. You just got to put it in front of them.
We'll ask y'all what I asked Yoder and Sukup, sight fishing. Either one of y'all see anything today, or do you think sight fishing could be a factor in this tournament?
I think it could be if the lake begins to stabilize. If it doesn't start somewhat stabilizing and not falling 2/10 a day, I think it could be. As far as a major player with multiple anglers doing it, I don't think so. But never say never with these guys. I don't know.
Talk to me, James.
Okay, so I agree with that last part. I don't think too many guys will be doing it. But the guys who are willing to go up the river with the aluminum boats and get back in some of the little oxbow lakes that are cleaner off the main, you can see them in those. I don't know if the temperature is right. I don't know if they're there.
Gotcha.
But that's how, in my opinion, if you're going to sight fish with any kind of consistency, it's going to be having to get way up there in some clean water.
Being you just touched on aluminum boats and going up, we got a couple guys. I think we were supposed to have – I only have one guy that switched to an aluminum boat just for this tournament. What's your take on guys that park their fiberglass rig for an aluminum rig for a particular tournament? How do you feel about that?
If you're asking me,
the
way I look at it, if it's in the rules and they can do it and they can go for it, go for it.
Right on.
Yeah.
Same way?
I feel the same way, but at the end of the day, this sport's expensive enough that you don't need two boats.
That's true.
Baby, I need another boat. So if you're watching, I need an aluminum.
So we had an interesting question. So we talked about winning weights. So the other winning in the National Pro Fishing League is, you know where I'm going?
Yeah,
Eat it up.
36, man.
Yeah, let's talk
what
about it.
What are you going to need to get that $9,000 check, man? Because, we're fishing for first and we're fishing for 36. That's real talk. That's what a lot of the guys are doing. What's it going to take to hit that 36 spot?
Personally, I've been asked this question a lot.
What was it that you follow? I did 31-ish?
About 10 and a half pounds a day got you paid.
Okay.
I feel like here, and, if the lake was more stable, like what we talked about
all I hear
3-4 weeks ago.
It's never going to be perfect.
I was saying I thought 15. It would take 15. But now I'm gonna come off that.
Okay.
I think it's going to take about 13 pounds.
Okay.
I think if you can catch 13 a day, then you'll get a check. And 12 and a half may get you a check.
Okay. What do you think, James?
I'm going lower. I'll tell you why. Eufaula, Great Lake, has, in my opinion, more bass in it than this lake. It fishes much bigger. It's twice the size, has offshore, has shallow. It spreads the field. And it took 11 pounds a day. If you look at the high school results last weekend, there was 4 limits out of 50 teams. So they caught some big ones, but they didn't catch a ton of numbers. A day gets a check.
And I could see that for sure.
Because you got to do it for 3 days in a row. That's the thing people forget. One day weights, it's not hard to bust them, but to do it 3 days in a row is not easy.
Yep.
I mean, you may see a guy that has 12 pounds on 2 fish.
Yep.
Good point. Yeah, and that's true. Like, it's not like they're wadded up out there. If you go crack 25 today, the odds of following it up tomorrow, like Yoder and Sukup are saying, that's very slim to follow it up. So 25 today, 6 tomorrow possibly. I mean, this is the kind of fishing that's going on, right?
Yeah, no, it is for sure. And with the lake falling, it changes daily. But the good news is if you do have a day where you go out and you have an 8 or 9 pound day on day one, you could run into a 20-pound sack on day two, you know. So you're not dead in the water if you struggle on day one is where I'm going with that.
So we're thinking about that 36, 37-pound threshold to hit that 36 spot for that $9,000.
Yeah, I would say between 36 to 39.
And I'll go 35.
35. And then what's going to win it?
58.
58.
It's hard to do it 3 days in a row.
It is.
It is.
It is for sure. But there's some good fishermen in here.
Oh, there's plenty of good fishermen.
If the guy does it, he earns it, right? Guy comes out like you
right.
hit 60, like you're gonna earn it, and you earn the win, right? Like not that you don't earn the win, but no one's gonna go out and luck into 3 20-pound bags.
No,
in Wright
true
Patman,
story.
for sure,
No,
right?
I could see it being 25, 23, and 12.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
to be honest.
that's one reason I'm going with that number. You know?
Is there an outlier? Like, is there the big 3-0 bag out there? If a guy's like 9, 6, 5, you know what I mean? Like, can we see a 30-pound bag on Wright Patman this week with the water? If it stabilizes, a lot of ifs and buts, candy and nuts, can we see it?
It can happen for sure. I
Biggs.
know.
I think so too.
So
Just getting lucky up shallow, though? Just pitching up? That's how they're going to – is this going to –
It could happen that way for sure.
Right
You know, I know some local hammers. I've always said this, and I'm not disrespecting anybody anywhere in the country.
but you're about to, but go ahead.
I know, right?
I know that, yeah.
The guys that live in this area, man, they're some of the best fishermen in America. And you know, some of these guys that are local, I know they've busted the big 3-0 here, and you know, it can happen. I've not done it, but
Seems
it
like
can
this would be the
happen.
time of the year to do it. Like you said, you're catching them with eggs in it. Like we can still catch them like just loaded.
Yep,
Every lake in Texas can bust 30 this time of year.
yep, that's right.
What do you do if you bust 30? Have you busted 30 before?
Not on Patman.
Oh, you said not on Patman.
Not on Patman.
Where'd you bust 30 at?
I've done it on Millwood a few times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait, no.
Just let that simmer a minute.
What's that
and roll.
biggest sack you got, James?
It depends.
Okay.
Because I've done some paper tournaments on Fork where we had 40, and none of them went 24 inches. You had 5 23 and 3/4 inchers.
Yeah.
And do we have that issue here? Is there this slot at all? Like, what are the
No,
what's
so
the
this will be 14 on all fish.
Yep.
14 on all fish, and then basically it's just primarily largemouth in here, right?
Yeah. That's what.
Are there any other trash fish that we have that guys are going to be catching? You know, like say if you're at the House on the Potomac, you're catching snakehead. If you're in Mississippi River, you're going to be catching the daggone the Yankee eels, what do they call them, pike.
Yeah, there'll be some trophy grinnell caught in this one.
And some Texas smallmouth, otherwise known as Gaspergoo drum.
Yeah,
Oh,
there
so-
will be.
Sheep's head. Is that the same thing or different?
Yeah, it's
so
same
black
thing.
drum, white, whatever.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, but
There's
grinnell, man,
hybrids, too.
mudfish.
Yeah, yeah, and you'll lay into one of them, and you'll think you have a good bass, and it'll break your heart when it comes.
Bowfin
to
are
the surface.
no joke.
Yeah.
That's right up my alley, man. I love me a good bowfin.
The topwater, the frog bite on a bowfin's unreal.
Yeah, for sure.
Where do we? What part of the lake do I have to go for that?
Just go fishing. You'll run into them.
So this morning, when you guys showed up for the first launch, what was your first impression? Like, you guys have already been over practice and everything, but as far as the layout of, like, we have our own ramp and everything, dude, and like what's the name of where we letting the
Sportsman's Cove. Yep.
For you guys that aren't familiar with Sportsman's Cove, it's legit. Like, I really like the place. You can tell it's been there for a while, but it's well maintained. The ramps are nice. What's your take on like how and where we're letting out at? I mean, you guys have got to. I'm talking about things I can't even show you now, but where we're launching at, it's a cool spot, dude.
Yeah. I mean, the nice thing is it's easy to get to the main lake. I'll be honest, like it was plenty of parking. I love all that, but my first impression when I got out there was, please don't hit something. Please don't hit something.
Oh yeah. And that is one of the reputations for you guys that don't know about Wright Patman. It's a lot of stumps. They used to have a and Chauncey will probably tell you, what's the dangerous level? Once it gets below what?
Once it starts getting down into that under 227 and a quarter-ish, you really got to start proceeding with caution. You know, normal pools, something like 226 and a half, 226, something like that. It's never at that level regularly. It's typically either high or low. Rarely is it, you know, right there at the normal pool. But, yeah, it definitely once you start getting under that 227 and a quarter, you really start needing to being cautious when you're out there, even if you're in the boat runs.
We had a guy today that had an issue, but he didn't hit anything. He threw an ear off his prop.
Yeah.
So it was crazy. I don't know if you've talked to Baltimore, but I'm sure you heard because you went and helped him. But he said when he threw the ear, he's going down and he heard some pow, and it's just whatever. You look. Chunk of metal it took off above the prop, still in the air, kadoosh, but he says he didn't hit anything. I was like, I don't know. I smelled his breath. It smelled like chocolate milk, so I think he wasn't drinking. But no, cool cat. Sorry that happened to you, Barth, but he's back. He's ready to go.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen any bad stuff out here with guys, like far as hitting stuff?
Yeah. We need to get Yoder in here and talk to him.
He got some stories?
He's got some stories going up the river. We need to
Yeah,
get
because it
him in here
seems
and talk
like
to him.
there are some spots. So there is one particular place I heard about today from Bobby Green Jeans, Dalton. There's a bridge on the lake, and he said, well, if the water's low enough, you can get under it. He's like, but if the water's high enough, you can go over the bridge.
Yeah.
You ever done that? You ever went over the bridge?
Oh, yeah, for sure. It typically this time of year over the last 5 years or so, it's been up enough. You just go right over it.
And they were talking stories about getting under the bridge. Dudes would pull the plug, let water in. Other guys would put cinder blocks in their boat just to weight the boat down to get under the bridge. That's
Yeah, for sure. I'm not one to pull a plug and let water flood my boat.
It sounds like nobody, even like bringing the aluminum rig, it sounds like the lake isn't even going to set up good enough for the guys in the shallow running boats, are they? You think they'll benefit to say, oh, boy, they brought the aluminum rig. Will he benefit from that aluminum rig this week?
I don't think it will as much as it would have last week. I know it won't.
And what's the difference between this week and last week?
About 1.5 feet roughly, maybe almost 2 feet now, difference in the water. You know, when it's at that, even though it's only 2 foot higher, you know, for people who've never been here, Patman is flat. The banks are flat. 2 feet makes a 1/4 mile difference of water back behind the wood line, the brush line. Whereas when it comes down 2 foot, rather than it being, you know, a 1/4 mile back behind the first brush line, it's, you know, 10 yards and, you know, manageable, and you can at least still somewhat fish it. So, you know, those guys that have those aluminum boats, if it was 2 feet high, they could get back behind that initial brush line and get back in the woods and actually fish them a lot easier than someone like myself with a 21-footer.
Right on.
I think it'll still benefit them, the guys that have them, but I don't think it will benefit them as much as it would have a week ago.
What's going to be the winning bait in your boat? I know we can't talk too much around James. As far as style of bait, like what do you think? What's your confident bait for this particular body?
Ned rig. I'm joking.
I was like, here we go. We got some good stuff.
Probably a frog.
Frog, really?
Yeah,
okay.
I didn't catch anything on frogs today, but at some point they're going to fire and it'll be good.
Now, are you casting and dragging? Are you cranking? Like, what are you doing for the most part? What do you have your confidence in? What particular lure or style of lure is going to win it for you? You think?
Swim jig or a Texas rig.
Okay.
Yeah,
Then we talk about the Bandito.
I agree with the Texas rig for sure.
Are you one of the swim jig guys that, as you reel it, do you do that?
Yeah.
You okay? I see a lot of guys do that, and some guys don't do that. I'm not the good on all that.
You're not hemorrhaging, huh?
All right, we got two. So I want to hear a little bit more about each one of y'all. What on your background though in tournaments, other than Wright Patman, what else have you fished?
So from a large scale standpoint, you know, this is the biggest stuff that I've ever done. I fished a lot of the stuff here in the 4 states area, you know, from, 3-4 hours north, 3-4 hours south, east, and west. But as far as on a national level, I've never done anything to this extent.
It's awesome. Now, what is your goal
The
NPFL this year?
My goal whenever we started was to catch a limit a day, and I felt like if I could catch a limit a day every day of each event, I could make the championship. And obviously, those plans went as far south as possible at Eufaula. I don't think I could have had a worse showing in my first event. I guess it could have been a little bit worse, but not much. So I'm looking to bounce back big time this event. I'm blessed that it's on my home water because it makes it a little bit easier for me as far as, unlocking the lake for event number 2 and needing to bounce back.
Championship or AOI?
If I had my choice,
Yes.
which one would I want? To
Yes.
win the championship or to win AOI?
Correct.
Money spends, hardware lasts forever.
I like your style. I like your style.
Yeah.
What's your goal this year, NPFL?
Since day one, I was like, I want to try to win Angler of the Year.
Yeah. Right on.
I mean, I know that's some people think that's I don't want it to be a cocky thing. Just
No, I get it, man. You're supposed
I'm not
to-
coming to lose.
Right.
That's
You know?
right.
And it's about consistency.
That's
and
what I was about to ask you. How do you go about winning AOI? What's your
what
plan?
he said, catching a limit every day, that was the other goal I had, get a limit every day. And I think if you catch a limit, you'll be top 10 at the end of the year.
Yeah.
I mean,
for sure.
you will. That consistency is king over the course of a season.
This is kind of funny. I'm a nerd.
I know. That's what we've all been talking about. You're such a big nerd.
So back in somewhere in 2005, 2006, something like that. I don't know if you guys used to watch the old Bassmaster stuff that came on ESPN. But Jerry McInnes, he had something he called the fish batting average. And it was, it was anglers, if they caught 5 a day each day of the tournament for the year. And if you caught your 5 each day, you were batting 1,000. And so if you didn't catch your 5 each day, your average dropped off from there. And the batting average dramatically correlated with the Angler of the Year points.
Ain't that something?
Yep.
Huh. All right, real quick, we're about to close it out. Everybody at home, where can they keep up with you at?
Jake Chauncey Fishing on Facebook. Also Jake Chauncey Fishing on Instagram.
James, where can they keep
Same
up with
thing. James Biggs Fishing
you?
on
I'm about to say,
Facebook.
if it's the same thing, they're going to go straight to his.
Well, maybe he needs some extra likes.
James Biggs on Facebook, Instagram,
And I just got the Instagram started. So,
MySpace.
yes, my MySpace is my favorite. Tom and I, we're buds.
I want to give a shout out right quick.
Give it, baby. Hurry up.
At the final weigh-in.
All right, that's it, folks. We're gone. No, go ahead, buddy.
At the final weigh-in at Eufaula, I promised someone I'd give them a shout out. Totally slipped my mind. I was, stewing over that wonderful 3-fish day that I had. But I want to give a shout out to Hoyt Evans. I met him when we were at Eufaula, young kid.
Hoyt!
Great
Oh, yeah.
kid, man. Yeah. Great kid.
Cool cat.
I've been keeping up with you, buddy, and keep up the hard work, and you got big things in your future.
That's it, Hoyt. Keep grinding, baby. Fat Cat Newton, James Biggs, Jake Chauncey, Brad Fuller, the NPFL, Wright Patman Lake, Texarkana. Be sure to tune in to TNPFL. Fat Cat Newton, we gone. Give him the finger.